Hello, my name is Leah, and I'm going to be talking about how the dangers of screen time can cause severe eye pain, nearsightedness, and in extreme situations, it could cause depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideations. Now, we are on our phones all the time. Doesn't matter how old we are, doesn't matter what we do, we have all adapted to this extreme screen age, whether it's calling a family member, doing homework, checking emails, and purely just for entertainment. We are constantly on our phones, on computers, watching the TV that we don't even realize that it is severely unhealthy because everything is there with a touch of a button. And that is extremely dangerous because we don't realize that our eye muscles are working so hard to adapt to the blue light, to adapt to the very small print that we see. And it is not healthy, nor should it be normal that we are on our phones that much, or our computers, or our TV. And because of that, we don't take into consideration, how damaging it is to be on our screens all the time. And I feel like we should 100% listen to our eyes when it is kind of warning us that it's tired, that it's working overtime to make sure, but we don't end up realizing it because we get so used to it, overcompensating and accommodating to all of what we are doing, that the pain that we're experiencing is our eyes telling us that we need to stop. And this is something that I actually learned because I work as an optometric technician, which is kind of like when you go to see a doctor, you see the nurse first and they ask you preliminary questions, figure out why you're here, take into account all of the tests that they're going to do, and really try to figure out the main reason as to why you feel the way that you feel. And that's my job. I always do the workup. I do several tests. I ask a lot of questions. I test people's vision. And because of my job, it made me, someone who has never had an eye exam, decide to just get my eyes checked. And I realized that I could see very well. I have no problem. I've never had a problem seeing. But when she did a specific test, I struggled. Well, not struggled. I was able to, see the screen up close, but I didn't realize, and she saw that how my eyes were basically having an eye spasm because they were having to work extra hard to make it out. And she made it very clear to me that my eyes are tired and I have overworked the eye muscles and that I need to take a break. And this is the first time that anyone has ever said something like that to me. And so I really want to educate all of you on how screen time can cause nearsightedness, eye pain, and severe depression and anxiety, which are the three topics I'll be talking about today. So nearsightedness. Nearsightedness and the actual term is called myopia. Myopia is just a scientific optometric term for nearsightedness. It means that you could see up close very well, but seeing far away is extremely hard. Now, we don't take into account how screen time is what mainly causes that. Of course, it does come with age because our eye muscles, again, get exhausted over time, but it speeds it up because our eyes are having to work extra hard to see everything up close. That when we are looking far away, it gets blurry because our eyes are used to kind of just adapting to figuring out what everything is up close. And in one of my research from Science Daily, it stated that in children, and this is kind of where it starts because of our digital age, natural daylight is very, very important, and that we need to take a break. And as studies have shown, children who spend more time indoors are more likely to develop nearsightedness. And that's because we are not able to see 5 feet, 10 feet away from us because we are always constantly on our phones. And this is going to cause, even in adults, but with adults, we've grown up without severe screen time, that it is not as likely to happen in our early age because we're already past our youth age. But with children, it is already such a huge problem. And the more that we stay in, well, I'm not a kid anymore, but the more that they stay inside, the harder it is for them to see 10 feet away from us. Next is that it can cause eye strain. And so we don't realize that this pain that we sometimes get, or how tired, how there's so much fatigue, is coming from the fact that we are on our phones all the time. And it's exhausting. Our eyes want a break, and that sometimes we will see flashes of light, or sometimes we will feel like our eyes are just so heavy. That's because our eye muscles are just exhausted from working overtime, and that eye strain isn't coming from work. It's coming from the fact that our eye muscles are being overworked. And then lastly, it can prolong and increase suicide and anxiety. We don't really talk about how that is caused by constantly being on our phone. So we don't have this um, that is interpersonal communication, that we don't speak to people, we don't have these interactions. All of this plays into how dangerous our phones are. And I believe that the best thing that we could do, and I've learned this from my doctor, is that we need to take breaks. Every 20 minutes, look outside for 20 seconds, 20 feet away, and that will allow our eye muscles to really take a break, because that is what we need. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you have learned a lot.